This week is what I would call a mixed bag. The scale went in the right direction, but it was definitely a difficult week, and I had some challenges that I wanted to talk about in this video. Hi everyone, if you're new here, my name is Tamara, and I'm on a journey to lose 100 pounds with the help of a GLP-1, in my case, Zepbound. So let's start by going over my meals for the week. I did pretty well in this area. I had my same breakfast that I always do, Greek yogurt, some pumpkin seed granola, and raspberries. There was only one day that I swapped this out, and I made eggs on sourdough with avocado and cheese. And I actually have a lot of avocados to go through right now. I'm not sure what I was thinking, but I bought a bag of 6 avocados at Costco. Actually, I know what I was thinking. I was thinking these are cheaper. But now I have a lot of avocados to eat. And try saying that 3 times fast or even once. Okay, take 14. Moving on to dinner, I had salmon with asparagus and sweet potatoes again for the work week. And I really need to find another slow cooker recipe to use up the frozen chicken tenders that I've gotten at Costco, and I've used those in my chicken tortilla soup. But I want to try some other recipes, and so if you have any good ones, let me know. But I do need to go through my slow cooker cookbook that I have and try to find something new to make. So I had a few things that were challenging this week that I haven't dealt with as much in previous weeks, and those things were fatigue. I had a lot of fatigue this week. I actually had a couple of days where I barely felt like I was able to function. It was not good at all. I was at work and just so exhausted. My coworker actually said, "You look like a toddler who is overdue for their nap." So I think my eyes were just like half closed. And man, I haven't dealt with that level of fatigue, I don't think, to this point, although sometimes the day right after injection. And I've talked about that I do my injections on Thursday evenings because I have Fridays and Saturdays off. So I normally am able to avoid that side effect during the work week, but I really struggled with it this week. And that also led to, I've never ever done this before, but I was shipping my sister her birthday gift, and I did not realize this until 2 days later, but I swapped the addresses on the box and it was delivered back to me 2 days later. So Wednesday after work, I come home and the package is on my porch. So I've never done that before. So once again, not functioning at 100%. And we have a tradition of sending each other packages of peanut M&Ms for birthdays. And I'll tell you what, I was definitely frustrated with myself for shipping the box to myself. That's $21.95 down the drain for one thing. Flat rate shipping has gone way up. And I opened that box and I grabbed the sharing size bag of peanut M&Ms and I ate the entire thing that night. So I think that this brings up some of the old maybe eating habits of emotional eating for comfort, eating when I'm feeling maybe bored or sad. I was definitely sad about that. But yeah, I ate the entire bag of peanut M&Ms, and I think that was about 500 calories. I didn't even look at how much sugar. I knew it was bad. So that was one challenge this week, is just kind of reverting to some old behaviors. I think one of the big things that I'm able to do that is helpful is not keeping junk food in the house at all. So when I have cravings for those sorts of things, candy, I don't have it easily available. So when it's delivered to my front porch, that's a different story. But dealing with that, just not keeping the food in the house. And I also should say that I don't think it's horrible to have junk food from time to time. And I don't want to be that restrictive and beat myself up for having something like that. But I also want to be mindful of what is causing me to want to have that. So just something to think about this week, and something I'm sure I'll continue working on in the months ahead. The second thing I struggled with this week is that by day 4 after the injection, I was feeling hungry again, like to the point of days like 5, 6, 7, I was feeling hungry after I ate. Like it just felt like I wasn't getting very full from my meals, even though I was eating pretty much the same thing as previous weeks, getting enough protein, fiber. So I was struggling more with hunger. And honestly, that's surprising to me because going into starting 5 milligrams of Zepbound, I was worried that I was gonna have bad side effects. I was gonna be so full, I didn't want to eat anything, similar to how I felt after my second injection of 2.5 milligrams. So I was surprised that I'm not having that effect this week. So what I did is I do my injections on Thursday evenings. So this past Thursday, I switched from injecting in my thighs to injecting in my stomach. And so I have found for me that injecting in my thighs gives me less side effects, but it's also maybe less of those side effects that I do want, like appetite suppression and food noise control. So I swapped to my stomach, and I did feel a little bit of nausea, but nothing that made me want to take anything for it. It was just a noticeable slight amount of nausea. But other than that, I haven't really had side effects from injecting in my stomach this past Thursday evening versus my thigh. So this brings up the question for me of, am I going to have to move up to the next dose much faster than I anticipated? I still have one more vial of 5 milligrams, and then I don't really know. I guess I'm gonna see how this next week goes, next week and a half or so after I do the last injection of 5 milligrams will be this coming Thursday evening, and then see how I do that following week. But it's definitely been surprising to me because I thought I would be dealing with side effects and maybe barely being able to eat. And that has not been the case. It's kind of been the opposite. Today, this was my weigh-in day. This is Saturday, and I weighed in this morning. As a reminder, last week my weight on Saturday was 224.8. And that following morning, Sunday morning, I dropped 2 pounds immediately. And that was probably due to the chicken tortilla soup I had for probably, I think it was 4 or 5 nights of that week, just the sodium flushing out of my body. So this week I weighed in at 222.2. So that's a loss of 2.6 for the week. But then if we take away the 2 pounds that I believe was the sodium, that's 0.6 for the week. I'll probably check again tomorrow morning. I will say that I weighed myself, I believe it was Tuesday morning, and I was down to 221.5. So there's just fluctuations throughout the week that I don't think it's bad to weigh yourself multiple times a week if it gives you kind of insight into what's causing those fluctuations, and you can just understand better how your body is working. I will say that I was so nervous about the 5 milligram dose on Thursday evening, about doing that into my stomach. After that second injection of the 2.5, I woke up in the middle of the night really sick, just diarrhea, sulfur burps. And so I think it was the memory of that making me worried that I was gonna wake up in the middle of the night feeling awful. And so I took 2 of the Pepto chewable tabs before bed on Thursday night. And I think that that probably has affected the flow of everything through my digestive system. As someone mentioned in the comments a few days ago in my supplies video, you don't want to take Pepto-Bismol if you have an issue with constipation. It can definitely help with side effects of diarrhea, reflux, the sulfur burps definitely help me with that. But I think in this case, maybe I shouldn't have taken that. I should have kept in mind that it could have that effect. So I think that's maybe the reason that the scale fluctuated back up this morning. So I'm gonna weigh again tomorrow morning, and just for educational purposes, see what fluctuation, if any, there is tomorrow morning on the scale. So that's my recap for this past week. It was definitely another week of kind of ups and downs, but hopefully learning along the way what triggers my food noise, how can I deal with that, how can I make better, healthier choices. And yeah, just going forward, going to see how the 5 milligrams works the next week and a half or so, and then make the decision about whether or not I should go up to 7.5, which is not something I thought I would be thinking about at this point. But yeah, so we're gonna see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining me for this weekly weigh-in, and I hope you guys had a great week, and let me know below how you're doing with your eating and how you're doing with any side effects. Until next time, let's keep moving forward together.